A man named Rick, 35 years old, gripped the steering wheel of his sub. Beside him sat his wife, Rachel, and in the back, their son, Ryan, nestled beside Rick's eccentric uncle, Chester. They were headed to Rye-Crest, a place Rachel had insisted on visiting, promising scenic views and quaint antique shops. The gaps indicated they were only 50 miles away, a fact Rick announced with forced cheer, trying to ignore the oppressive silence that had fallen over the car. Suddenly, a black cloud plummeted from the sky, smashing against the windshield. The impact sent a shudder through the vehicle, and Rick momentarily lost control. A sub swerved violently before he wrestled it to a stop on a shoulder, tires screeching against the asphalt. Everyone was shaken. A grotesque smear of blood and feathers plastered the windshield. Rick surveyed his family. "Everyone okay?" he asked, his voice tight with anxiety. A chorus of shaky affirmatives answered him. Rick climbed out of the car, followed by Chester, Rachel, and a white-eyed Ryan. "What in God's name was that?" Rachel whispered, clutching her chest. "Bad omen, Rick. Real bad omen," Chester mumbled, his gaze fixed on the mangled crowd. "Don't be ridiculous, Chet," Rick snapped. "It was an accident." He grabbed a stick from the roadside and scraped the remains of the crow off the windshield, flinging it into the ditch. "Let's go. We have a long drive ahead of us." They piled back into the car, but Rachel and Chester remained visibly disturbed, exchanging worried glances. A feeling of unease settled over them, a sense that something was profoundly wrong. About 15 minutes later, Rick noticed a weathered sign on the right side of the highway. It was partially obscured by weeds, but he could make out the faded words, "Rye-Crest." Beneath the sign, a gaunt figure sat slumped on a wooden crate. He wore tattered clothes. His hair was matted and unkempt, and a long, crazy beard obscured most of his face. He looked like a classic hobo. Rick slowed the car and rolled down his window. "Hey buddy, is this the right way to Rye-Crest?" The hobo slowly raised his head, his eyes unnaturally large and bloodshot. He grinned, a chilling, predatory grin. "This road, it takes you where you want to go." His voice was a raspy whisper that sent shivers down Rick's spine. "Yeah, and where's that?" Rick asked, trying to keep his tone light. The hobo's grin widened, revealing blackened teeth. A strange light flickered in his eyes. "Yeah." Rachel gasped, and Chester muttered a prayer under his breath. Ryan shrank back in his seat, burying his face in his mother's arm. "I'm just kidding, folks," the hobo chuckled, but the sound was devoid of humor. "Just need some whiskey, is all. A little something for the road." Rick, despite his growing apprehension, felt a pang of sympathy. He reached into his wallet and pulled out a $5 bill. "Here you go. Get yourself something more." The hobo snatched the bill, his eyes gleaming with a manic intensity. "Pleasure doing business with you. You've just bought your ticket." He chuckled again, a dry, rattling sound. As Rick drove away, he saw the hobo standing in the road, his figure unnaturally tall and gaunt. His eyes burned with an unholy light. The rearview mirror showed nothing but empty road. "What a creep," Rick muttered. "He gave me the heebie-jeebies," Rachel agreed. In the back seat, Ryan was watching a spooky video on his tablet. "Dad, what's a wraith?" he asked. "A wraith?" Chester interjected, his voice trembling. "A wraith is a spirit, Ryan. A malevolent spirit that haunts the living. They say they lure travelers into the wilderness, tricking them to their doom." Ryan seemed unfazed. Chester was visibly unnerved. The sub continued down the dark highway. Rick noticed a roadside diner a short distance ahead. A flickering neon sign proclaimed, "Daily's Diner. Once you stop, you never leave." Rick drove past. A few minutes later, he saw another diner, identical in every detail, right down to the neon sign. Deli's Diner. Once you stop, you never leave. Rick blinked, confused. He passed that one too. 10 minutes later, a third diner appeared. But this time, the waitress outside was a beautiful blonde woman in a revealing outfit. The sign read, Russian Diner Specialty. Good grief, who'd pay that for tea? Rick exclaimed. He sped past it. As he did, the diner vanished. In its place stood the hobo, now a towering figure of shadows. His face was gaunt, his eyes blazing, his grin a gaping maw of darkness. I have bought the ticket of your doom. The world seemed to distort around the sun. Eddie, I'm scared. Ryan cried. Rachel screamed. The hobo's laughter echoed around them as the road ahead dissolved into a swirling vortex of darkness. The hobo had lured them into the abyss. The final image was a roadside shrine built of tires and scrap metal. The shrine glowed unnaturally. $50 bills were affixed to it, each burned around the edges. It bore a single, chilling word painted in faded red, Wraith. The car vanished, leaving only a whisper on the wind.